Hi, this is Will Dieck with Black Belt Breakthroughs. This interview is part of our leadership series, and today I'm so excited to be here with Matt Patterson. Uh, Thanks for being here today, Matt.
Well, thank you very much, Will. It's really great to be with you.
Now, Matt's an author, speaker, he's a business coach, consultant, and the reason I asked him on here today is he's taking a leadership level that I think all of us could learn from. So, Matt, could you tell us a little bit about how you started, a little bit about your story, because your story is fascinating to me.
Well, thank you, Will. First and foremost, I think when I speak of my story, it goes back to almost 30 years ago when my first daughter was born, whose name was Emily. And Emily was born with Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And then just 2 years later, she was diagnosed with leukemia. Mm-hmm. And we went through and trying to keep the story somewhat compact. At the age of 2, Emily was diagnosed with leukemia. And from there, we went through 6 months of treatment, remission, and unfortunately, Emily passed away. And my career has taken me through different stages of communications, everything from being a news and sports anchor to a print reporter covering crime to marketing and communications director at 2 different hospitals. And I've worked on political campaigns, and more than anything, communications has been a part of my professional life, and I never thought that I would be able to use it as part of perhaps my personal life, and then taking it on to what I call my passion, and that is sharing Emily's story. So 5 years ago, almost 6, I decided to sit down and write Emily's story. And it was actually based off of a newspaper column I wrote, which was on Emily's birthday. And once a week I had a chance to write a column about anything I wanted, and I tried to keep it as far away from the courts and crime beat as I could, and tried to interject some humor, but I'll touch readers and let them know a little bit more about me as a person, because basically they knew me as the guy that was writing about the relatives who were in trouble in the courthouse. And a lot of people would stop me on the street saying, "Hey, are you the guy that writes the paper and does the court stories for the paper?" And I go, "Well, it depends." And they go, "What's that?" And I go, "Have you or anybody in your family been in the courts?" And, at that time, I have since also had two other daughters. So usually they were some of my main fodder, try to find something humorous, but also share a lesson. And I, almost 25 years later, took that newspaper column, and which I had saved all my columns in Microsoft Word for some reason for posterity, that somebody may actually want to read them. And I took that Microsoft Word file of that column, and I began to stretch it out and add stuff. And I decided I was going to write a book and self-publish a book. Number one, it would help me grieve, because I think all of us grieve in different ways. And once the book came out, I wanted to make it readable, but for some people, maybe in one sitting, maybe 2, or an airplane read, as some people say. So I kept it to it. I tried to keep it within 100 pages, and I did. And the advent of the Kindle came out, and where it just blew the doors off of everything. All of a sudden, I was promoting it just simply using Facebook and Twitter. And 300,000 downloads later, I've had Emily downloads, my Emily downloads, anywhere that Amazon makes it available. And I've been very blessed with that. And it's this passion of trying to share her story has just grown. It initially just started out as a way for Matt to get his last cry out, sure. and sure. Maybe her story could help somebody else that's been through the same thing, whether it be Down syndrome, cancer, pediatric cancer, or both. Because I've had numerous emails and notes sent to me from people who are going through the exact same thing, because there is a higher incidence of pediatric cancers with Down syndrome, about 20% higher.
Wow.
And so it's just turned into something that is very important to me, to share her legacy. And if it helps others, that's great. And to get messages, whether it be reviews on Amazon or emails from people, there are days when I'm down. I go and read those reviews and keep those emails, and I read them because it strengthens me to know that what I am doing, I'm doing something positive, and I'm also getting to keep her legacy going. I'll share it with anyone that wants to hear me or read it. I've given away more copies than I can count, and I love doing it.
Now, are you giving it away right now or doing something like that? I don't remember what you told me.
We had shared when we had a phone discussion last week. September and October are very big months for me. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. So during the months of September and October, I will be making My Emily available on the Kindle download for 99 cents. But on September 8th, which is the anniversary of Emily's passing, and which is also my parents' anniversary, we will be making the Kindle download of My Emily for free. So on September 8th, if you go to Amazon and you find My Emily on Amazon on the Kindle version, you'll be able to download it for free.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to, and I've read your book, and it's a very touching book. It's so, but I want to move on. So you wrote My Emily 6 years ago or so. Yes. And then you took that experience of going through writing that book and that grieving process, and you turned it into something that is very powerful. Could you share with our audience what you've done to use that experience for what you're doing now?
What I'm doing now is reaching out to groups, individuals who'll ever listen to me or want to read the book or just talk. I've spoken to people just, we found each other on Twitter, and from me promoting the book, they began to promote the book, and then all of a sudden, I've still never met these people, but I consider them very close friends. But now my passion right now is to continue to share Emily's story, have that story going into organizations, especially workplaces, where oftentimes, and I've gone through it many times, where we've gone into our workplace and we're bringing what we have going on at home within the four walls of our offices or our cubicles. And I think it's important that not only we as organizations or as colleagues or coworkers, that we can reach out and help these people. Obviously, we don't want to intrude on their privacy, but when people have things going on outside the office, which I have had, sometimes our work suffers, our attention span isn't as good. And you find yourself really thinking about things because you've got so much on your mind and your heart. I used to remember when I would close my eyes and shampooing, thinking about what I need to do. How am I going to get through today's work? Right. Same thing with shaving. There were times where riding in an elevator in the morning, and you've got 6 or 7 floors to carry, and once those doors close and you're going up, let's get my breathing pattern right, okay? And it seems like that 6 floors only takes 1.3 seconds to get to, and all of a sudden you hear the doors open, and then you walk through those doors, and then you put on that smile that everything is just great. And right. When in actuality, it's not. And as colleagues or coworkers or organizations, how can we help these individuals who may be struggling with any kind? I mean, it could be the loss of a loved one. I went through a stretch when my mother had dementia and her passing, where it's hard to concentrate. Right. And how can we help those people through this tough time, but also get the mission, the work done, and be successful as a group or an organization, and still help this individual and not just cast them off to the side and let their work suffer. And then in some in some instances, release them or terminate them, when in actuality, all we really need to do is to lend a hand,
Right.
and be there, whether it be a friend or be the coworker. And I think we can get a lot more done as organizations by just reaching out and helping those people who are going through tough times.
Sometimes it's a matter of just being aware, though. Sometimes we're so into our day that we're unaware of what's happening with other people, and so we project onto other people, well, they must just be having a bad day, or they're just that way, and so I'm hallucinating. I don't know for a fact because I don't know exactly what you're doing, but I'm hallucinating you're teaching people communication skills to start those kinds of conversations so you can find out if there is a way to help people. So is that what I'm hearing that you're kind of doing?
Communication is critical, and also being the one who steps up,
Right.
you know, but also to celebrate small victories as well. One of the big things is celebrating small victories. And I just put an article up. It's actually going to be an excerpt from the book. I put a small article up on LinkedIn last week, and it's called "What's Your Chicken Fingers and Fries?"
And I'm supposed to read that. I'm gonna.
The tie-in with the chicken fingers and fries was when Emily was diagnosed and went through all her treatments. Her favorite food was Burger King chicken fingers and fries. So they got word that when she went into remission, I mean, that was the day. Cardboard crowns for everyone, and chicken fingers and fries. We also, my daughter was less than 1 at that time. By the time we left there was probably more French fries on the floor than what we actually ate. But you know, that was celebrating a victory. And we have to look for ways in our lives to celebrate those small victories. And, you know, somewhere packed away, I still have a cardboard crown from that night. And it's very important to me. And it's always, I can remember the day we got the news that she was on remission. I heard it over a phone. The doctor was telling me, then got to share it with everyone. And literally, when there was no going out without a mask, we could take her outside without a mask. And although some people look at it as a small victory, it was huge, but we celebrated it with chicken fingers and fries. So.
Chicken fingers and fries. That's a great
So it's you know, a friend of mine said chicken fingers and fries. I got a text message from him with about 20 question marks. I go, read it. And then he said, oh, okay, now I got it.
Now I get it. So you're taking this message and you're going to businesses, probably churches, things like that, and sharing this message with them. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you for that, how could they do that?
They can just go to my website. It's matt-patterson.com. Mm-hmm. Or they could email me at matt-patterson.com. And you can reach out to me, or like I said, go to my website. There's a couple areas. There's a contact page, and there's also a request page. And also wanted to say, during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and Down Syndrome Awareness Month, if there are organizations that are types of organizations, such as hospitals or nurses groups or pediatric cancer groups, support groups, anything like that, I will make myself available and I will come to wherever they are, and I will speak for free.
Wow. So I know some hospitals here in town. I'll make sure that I pass that along, because that's very generous of you. I don't know that they'll take you up on it with such short notice, but that's very generous of you. Matt, I always like to ask everyone that comes on, what's one thing that we should know about you? What's one thing that you would want everyone to know about you?
I love being a dad. I love being a husband. I love my family. I love sport. Football season's coming up. I love my college football.
Who's your college football?
I am a graduate of Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. I live
They got a
in.
great football team, usually.
we- We've got a decent team. We've got a pretty tough schedule this year, um, and but more than anything, even though my daughters, my other two daughters, I have two other daughters now. They're 27 and 25. I even have a grandson now. Never got a boy. Never had a boy. Now that I have a grandson, I have to say, as many grandkids as I have, he's going to be my Chubba Bubba. He is not, and what's really scary, and my daughter even says, even creepy, is if you hold pictures of me and him side by side at the same age, pretty close to scary identical. But I love being a dad.
Spoil him, of course.
Oh, absolutely not. I love being a dad. I love being a husband. I love being a grandpa. And there's nothing like having your significant other or your children look you in the eye and tell you that they love you and they appreciate you. And when I FaceTime my daughter and my grandson, just goes absolutely crazy when we speak. The last time I actually FaceTimed, he ran around the kitchen table twice and then came back. So those moments you can't sell those, and you guard them as treasures. So if there was one thing somebody needed to know about me, that they could say, well, Matt really loves his family, and I think as being a husband or a father, anything said beyond that is, just beyond that. I love being a dad and a husband.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I can tell just by the way you're saying that it's so genuine, and I'm sure I'd love to see your family together. I think that would be an amazing thing, especially your grandson. All right. Well, is there anything else we want to do today before we end our conversation?
Just remind people that they can for free on September 8th, and if they do miss that date, all through September and October, they'll be able to get it for 99 cents. For less than a can of Diet Coke, you can get yourself a book. Take you about anywhere between 40 minutes and an hour to read, and hopefully you can read it in one sitting. I think you'll laugh. A lot of self-deprecating humor pointed at myself, and there's a slight possibility you might get a little bit emotional. You may want to keep a Kleenex or two handy, but hopefully you walk away inspired by Emily and her story, and it's been a real blessing for me to be able to share it. So other than that, and again, if any time in September, October, anybody wants to bring me in, I'm fortunate enough that my honorable spouse is a flight attendant. Oh. I can fly it anywhere for free.
That's great.
So that's why I'm offering that. So, and I'd be more than happy to do that for any group or organization that caters to special needs children or children with cancer. I'd be happy to help.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for doing that. Well, so this was part of our leadership series. Matt, thank you again for being part of our show today. As we close up, I just want everybody to know, I have two things I like to add. One is, if you know anybody like Matt, or anybody in a leadership position like Matt, or from anywhere, and you'd like to see him on the show, please let me know. Message me. I'd love to get him on the show. Second thing is, if you're working at being a leader, or you just simply want to take your performance to the next level, I have a course called Black Belt Mind Mastery. Now, that's a powerful, in-depth change system designed to help you tap into your inner power and create a life filled with freedom, meaning, and purpose. And it's a 4-week course that is made for anybody who really want to take their performance to the next level. So if you're interested in that, make sure you message me and I'll get you the information. Again, Matt, thank you so much for being with us today. And this is Will Dieck wishing everyone nothing but success. Thank you.